We are live on the Not a Podcast show. I'm Not a Podcast host, Sean Ongley. We're in my new setup. This is my office space, but it's becoming more of a production studio office slash inventory space for my business, heldgear.com, which is a vegan brand. And I have a vegan guest today who we'll get to very shortly. If you like all this free content that I produce from the Not a Podcast show, today's unannounced show is just another one. I'm always doing them. I'm putting them out pretty quickly for my capacity. And if you dig that, then you can go to seanongley.com, navigate to value for value, and just drop some cash or Bitcoin. And or you can like buy a belt at heldgear.com. And that's a great way to support me, which is a great way to support communities because, it's the value of the dollar inertia thing. Like I'm an American citizen, spending my money locally. And when you buy locally, it's good for everybody around. Like you don't have to track every dollar where it goes. It's just generally positive. Do you dig that? And, and so like, there's a lot of arguments about what's the best way to improve economies, improve the environment, stuff like that. And I have a vegan brand, and that's part of the solution as far as I'm concerned. And but I also just recently had Texas Slim on, who's a beef advocate, and he believes in decentralizing agriculture. So I wanted to talk to a vegan and highlight that argument, but not to have an argument. We're just going to talk and enjoy common ground and see where we differ. But I really have no desire to argue, which is not everybody's desire these days. And all right, that's enough from me. Let's go here live with Sky Jack Morgan. How you doing, Sky?
I'm crushing. I'm loving life. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good. Sometimes I'm crushing and loving life. Sometimes I get frustrated.
Yeah. I guess the frustration abounds, but at the end of the day, you gotta wake up to crush, right?
You got to bring ass to get ass, as my friend Shane would say.
You gotta take some names if you're gonna kick some ass. That's true. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just. I'm sorry that you're feeling frustrated, but
I had a good day.
This too shall pass.
I'm going on vacation on Wednesday. I'm going to be in Florida for a week.
Florida. That's
some beach time.
You can drive down from Florida. You can drive from Philadelphia.
I've done that. I got it's ridiculous. This time of year, I don't even want to tell you the secret of this time of year in Florida, but I will.
Okay.
It's like off season for travel, but the air temperature matches the ocean temperature. It's the same temperature. You're walking in from one temperature into the same, but one's more moist. And the flight
slightly more moist. The sea is slightly more moist.
Yeah,
that's in Florida. Only in Florida you could say that. The ocean's a little bit more moist than the dry land. The dry land.
Well, it is pretty, humid area, but so actually you can. It's actually funny on two levels. But the flight was like $60, and the car rental, dig this, advance payment, $12 a day.
$12.
It's like 1990s pricing.
That is like 1990s prices, but you have to go to Florida.
Oh, I got family there. I don't know. It's good beach time. Beautiful.
Yeah,
beaches.
I guess it makes sense. I mean, if you're going to be in Florida, I don't know. I guess from Philadelphia, Florida probably seems. That's the thing about the East Coast. Like Florida always seems like paradise to anyone living on the East Coast, which when you're in Southern California, it doesn't seem that way to me. Like, because I live in Southern California.
Cheers, by the way.
What are you drinking?
Lion's Head beer.
I didn't know it was going to be one of those. Lion's Head. I haven't seen that in years.
Really? Yeah, it's a PA brand, so they're pretty common.
Yeah. I used to love Lion's Head.
Yeah, I'm from California though.
Yeah, I know you're from California, but
you're in LA, right?
I'm in Orange County.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. Well, I know
the LA vibe. I know the LA vibe.
I was born in LA. I was raised in LA. I left there after the riots in 93, I think. 93, 94. I moved to Orange County and then bounced around the world a lot. I lived all over the world. And
you weren't an adult by 93, were you?
I was 14.
Okay, yeah. You were.
Yeah.
Parents were like, "We're out."
Well, yeah. My parents wanted to leave after the riots, after LA was burning and everything was going a bit nuts. It was a bad time to be in LA. We were the drive-by capital of the world. We were carjacking capital of America. It was
Hey, Philly's taking over that role.
Yeah, well, LA, they're cleaning up LA. No, they're not. Last time I was in LA, it was harrowing to see what's going on there. But that's Los Angeles, man. It's kind of hard. It's a hard town. Any big city is going to be hard, right? Like big cities are always rough.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, that's a whole can of worms, man. Like, what's been happening? Like, because I left Portland, Oregon, where I lived 14 years, still the longest I've lived anywhere in my life.
Yeah.
I loved it when I got there. Was not so loving it when I left. It was, in many respects, it was not an unsafe neighborhood as far as I felt, even though there were tent cities. I didn't feel unsafe in those tent cities. But those cities, those tent cities have gotten much worse from what I've heard. I haven't been back.
Yeah, the homeless population in LA is a little bit different than the one in Portland too. And the downtown LA is it's really bad now. And people just living in the streets and squalor. It was really bad when I went there. I went there for the NFT Expo, the big crypto adoption event in at the LA Convention Center, and the NFT Expoverse. And it was awesome, but we would eat like downtown. It's right downtown, so we'd be downtown, and it's like, holy shit, this is not the downtown I remember. But then again, you grow up, things change. What are you gonna do? It's a hard thing.
The only thing that I can think to do is try to participate. I mean, you gotta. If you see a solution for a problem, and you can do it in a business level, that's what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you seem to be an entrepreneur. By the way, I want to say, Deb Thompson, she was very nice when I did your show, if I recall.
Yeah, Deb's our favorite.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Deb. Yeah, I'm pro vegan. I'm really not pro everything, but I see the value in a lot of things. And
I'm pro. I like to say I'm pro everything except for oppression. Like if you got something cool to do, I'm into it. If it's oppressive, I'm not into it. That's like it's kind of I'm pro everything except for oppression and violence.
Yeah, right.
The violence is kind of a symptom of oppression. So when people are like, "What are you into?" I'm like, "I'm into everything, man. You want to talk about music? You want to talk about?" I'm like, I just have a curious mind. I like shit. And yeah, I've been an entrepreneur. I've owned businesses. I've done lots of cool things. Like I've owned magazines and restaurants and all sorts of cool stuff. And now I'm doing this vegan lifestyle brand, or what am I? I don't know what I'm doing. But
what came first, the podcast, or did you start selling hats and shirts and stuff first?
Interesting. I started out wanting to meet other vegans and start a community and be part of the vegan community, because I've seen that like a lot of times, like, I've been vegan a long time, right? I've been vegan 17 years. And a lot of people who are just like getting into it, they kind of ignore the animal rights, human rights, the justice, the peace, all of the parts of the vegan movement that since 1944 have been kind of hallmarks of the vegan movement as a social justice movement. And it ends up becoming like a recipe sharing club or a something like that, right? Like or just cute cuddly animals. And I'm like, well, I've been vegan a long time. That's not what I'm about. So I wanted to meet other vegans like me, because that's the hardest part. And so it's kind of started like that. But I really wanted to do like a surfer brand, Southern California brand. Because I didn't want to do restaurants anymore. I don't want to do hospitality. I didn't want to run bars anymore.
Yeah, so it'll eat you up, that business.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rough one. Like the hours are rough, and then the people are rougher, and it's just gotten worse. The pandemic kind of brought out the worst in people, and
or the best. It split people up. It split people apart. It split people on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, people who came out in restaurants were tough customers, man. They were really rough, and it became like this. It just became something that I don't want to do anymore. And I can't believe anybody wants. Like, that's the problem. People act like assholes when they come to restaurants, and no one wants to work at restaurants anymore. And now the same people are upset that things are taking longer because you can't hire anybody to do that job anymore. Pretty soon it'll be robots doing it all. And the fastest growing segment is limited service model. And so it's just going to get more and more like that. I mean, all those quaint things that everyone claims to love, like going to the checkout counter at the supermarket or whatever, that's all like that's all going to go away. Like, that's not going to be here for very much longer. You realize, like, you and I are going to see a world without that job is gone.
Right.
And it's because of the assholes.
It's the assholes from top to bottom.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
exactly.
whole agenda behind controlling the population. You know, like there's a lot to be gained by making jobs scarce.
Yeah. It'll
It's-
make you do more stuff for less money. But
and yeah, so I mean, all we can do is put our solutions out there, and try to learn from each other. That's why I do Not a Podcast show,
yeah.
so I can have a balance of views, learn from people without having to go to college. Yeah.
I went to a fancy college. I don't know. I don't think it's for everybody though.
Yeah,
But
it's
I mean,
great
that's
to,
part of veganism too. That's part of veganism. It's about waking up and questioning your programming, questioning orthodoxy, questioning this status quo, which is, you know, that some animals have rights and some don't. It doesn't make sense, or that some deserve moral consideration and some don't. That's speciesism, and it's not right.
right.
It's unjust.
I want to talk about that because I had an experience. But your friends are showing up in numbers. It's very nice.
Hey,
Sky's
I like
show
that.
has enriched
Canadian
my
vegan
vegan life.
friend. What's up, Colleen? How you doing?
Canadian vegan. Yes.
We've got a great community, and you know, it's what it's for. You know, that's what's about.
And
The
Deb
biggest jerks
Thompson.
leave the smallest tips.
Right.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing. I mean, I've been a server, a bartender. I'm thinking about like figuring out a code for hospitality workers for held belts, because you need a good workers need a good belt. And I think they deserve a good a little discount. I'm not
Servers
sure
worker.
how to do that.
Well, it's kind of funny because they used to call them waist, like waist servers, and waist, obviously a belt goes around your waist because it's waiter and service technician or something. Waist, I forget what it is. Waist stands for something, but it's like waiters and service tech or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a class of people, and they're waist. So it'd be kind of funny with the belt,
There's all
waist
kinds of
belt.
Yeah, that's funny. There's a little subliminal messaging all over the place. So you were talking about speciesism.
Yeah.
I had another vegan on who's wasn't really a vegan discussion, because he is kind of more just he happened to be. But I was watching his this Ross Ferrier. I was watching his Instagram stories, and he posted a real dog meat company, like organic dog meat, free range. They're like advertising as a high.
You're talking about Elmwoods?
Yes.
Yeah. Elmwoods dog meat.
It's legit, right?
No, they're vegan trolls. They're that's not legit.
That's damn, they're good.
Yeah, no, that's like a vegan joke. That's like
great.
Any vegan.
It's because it produces a thought. You know, there was
right.
It definitely a slice of me that was like, is this legit? Because I didn't go all the way, but they sure did present it.
Yeah, Labrador steaks and pug ribs, and they always are organic. Elwood's organic dog meat. You'll see those T-shirts a lot at vegan festivals, because
brilliant.
it's like this. It's like an inside joke for vegans. Yeah,
they really they probably really did book a table, because there was a picture of them with a table at an event. That's really going up there. You know, really staging the joke.
Yeah, they go all in. I love it. They'll publish their voicemails, and it's all people like, "You sons of, how dare you! You all deserve to die. How could you do this to a dog?" And they're like, "These vegans always saying that I can't kill my dogs. You know, we raise our dogs like family, and all these vegans are always attacking us." But of course, they're not vegans, right? They're meat eaters. They're carnists who just don't like it that you kill dogs. Like that is the speciesist part of it. Why is it not okay to eat a dog?
Right. So I sat there and I really thought about it genuinely for a moment there, and I believe that Deb thought it was real too.
Deb thought it was real too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I am not so easily snagged. I definitely.
Yeah, they're good at it. They've been doing it a long time though, since like 1999 or something. They've been doing the
It's good.
Elwood's dog meat.
But if you look at it and you encounter it the way I did, then you'll really think about it. You ought to think about it. And now I have an answer. I have an answer as to, it may not be correct, but it makes sense to me why
Let's hear it.
we cherish dogs and cats above cows and pigs.
Okay, I think I know why too. Let me see why. Why do you think that dogs and cats are cherished, but not pigs and cows?
It's the same reason that we don't really care for wild dogs and wild cats, although some people love those big wild cats. It's the same reason we're afraid of them, and we don't want to cuddle with them. We're not looking for coyotes, you know. That loyalty of the domesticated dog, and that lovingness, that loving character of the domesticated cat, they're so aligned with humans that we naturally don't. We just have been conditioned our whole lives not to feel like they.
Oh, there you go. We'll say that word again. We've been conditioned.
Right.
We've been conditioned our whole lives. That's literally
right.
You just said it. That is the real reason why.
It takes now. The condition we've been meat eaters as human beings for so long. There's no real conditioning to the idea of becoming a meat eater. It definitely. I don't know how.
That's changing subjects. Hold on. Let's get to that. I like that. But the dogs and cats thing versus the pigs and cows thing.
Mm-hmm.
You might say like we like dogs and cats that are domesticated over wild dogs and cats, and that's perfectly valid. But you wouldn't say that dogs and cats deserve more moral consideration than a wild dog or a wild cat. That it's just as wrong to kick a dog as it is to kick a lynx or something. You wouldn't say that one deserves moral consideration more than the other. But when it comes to farmed animals, we think that they deserve all of our ire and cruelty and caging them, and we abridge basically all of their rights. And also the domesticated dog and cat are also enslaved. I mean, we've bred them to be that way. We've bred them to rely on us exclusively. They can't live without us. They can't be wild. They'll just die.
Yeah. That's a problem. That's a problem.
It is a problem. We've bred them to be that way.
Yeah. So that's a down the road interesting angle. The way that, like, what do you do with these animals if we all became vegan tomorrow? But I think we still have angles to, like.
But that's an easy one. What if we all became vegan tomorrow? I mean, that's an easy one. Then all that money for subsidies is left there with nothing to do, and we have one generation of animals to look after, and then it's over. Like, it's not that hard. And I mean, and some would be euthanized, and some would just die very quickly. They don't live very long. They're not bred to live long lives. They're bred to grow up fast so that we can slit their throats. That's what they're bred to do.
Yeah.
And
a lot of meat eaters are not going to budge on the idea of never eating meat, but they will support more humane sources. That's definitely the case. But the thing is that the vast majority are really ignorant.
But there's no humane way, Sean, to kill an animal that doesn't want to be killed. There's no humane way to kill something.
I understand that argument. I understand that argument. But we have to, like, I'm pragmatically dealing with the reality, and I'm not advocating for anything. What I'm doing is saying there's going to be meat eaters. That's not going to change. I don't see.
Well, there's going to be rapists too, but I don't go out and rape, right?
Okay.
There's always going to be slavery, but I don't go out and own people. Right. There's always going to be murder. That doesn't let me off the hook and allow me to morally justify any murder that I might commit. Like, just because there's always going to be those things doesn't mean anything. And when we talk about pragmatism, there's nothing more pragmatic and more pragmatic than going vegan in order to make the greatest impact as an individual can. There's not much you can do, really. I mean, you could buy with your dollar. You're saying something earlier about buying with your, voting with your dollar.
Yeah. Here's where I don't agree. Unless we agree on what the products are that we're consuming, choosing vegan or meat isn't going to solve anything. Like, there are meat maximalists that think that that's the solution. There's vegan maximalists. The thing is, if you don't change monocropping and everybody's eating monocrop soy and corn, and getting poor nutrition. That's a
Yeah.
problem.
Well, the
If
monocrops are mostly for vast majority
now,
of
given
monocropping.
that, the beef advocates are out there saying that's a problem that they don't want anymore. They do not want corn-fed beef. They want grass-fed beef that naturally grazes. So they want
You
to
can't do it though.
decentralize.
You can't do it. It can't
They
be done.
You can have an argument with them. I'm not
No,
carrying
but
their.
but it's people say those types of things. Trust me, I've heard it. I hear it every day. Like, well, what about grass-fed beef? And everyone, we pet them and feed them beer and all that. There's not enough land in order to do all of that with
I don't
all
know
of
about
these
the
cows.
feed them beer thing.
Yeah, well, they do in Kobe beef. They give them beer, right? And they're
I've
like,
never
oh,
heard
these,
that.
yeah, they're massaged. The cows are massaged and all of this. They're treated so well. Well, if everyone had cows like that's why the Kobe beef is like $200 a pound or something ridiculous. It costs a lot more to raise an animal that way.
Well, they're also. It sounds like they're going over the top just to like
that's why Kobe beef, or Wagyu beef,
So there's ground to be shared so that I really believe that I just don't believe that there's like one ism that's going to solve everything, because there's always people that are going to choose their ism, and then you either go to war with them or you find solutions together. There's not much in between.
Well, you don't have to go to war with them. I mean, just like, again, you're voting with your dollar. I wholeheartedly agree with you. You want to talk about common ground? I believe in that statement that you said at the top of the show about voting with your dollar, so that you kind of extend that dollar, right?
The inertia,
right? The dollar inertia.
And the more you spend in the places that you find ethical, are going to, that inertia is even better. So if I go to a grocery co-op, and where I can go and get free range grass-fed beef or vegan products, they're all side by side. But one thing I know about that co-op is that it's going to be ethically sourced no matter what side I'm on.
Yeah, but the problem is there's nothing ethical about killing animals.
I'm not going to argue that.
You said, but it's ethically sourced. Killing an animal is unethical.
By the standards that people have in the food co-ops that have the food industries, food co-ops are delivering the very highest quality and the very highest ethics in all of those fields.
Well, it could be a high quality product that's still unethical. It's when we're talking about an animal rights point of view, that all animals want to be free and want to be liberated, then it's kind of hard to say that serving beef or buying grass-fed beef is somehow superior to buying corn-fed beef.
But when you are going to the grocery store, do you agree that you would rather be at the food co-op next to a carnivore buying meat than at the at Walmart buying monocropped products from?
Well, I try not to hang out with carnivores, but
food co-ops are full of vegans. I mean, that most.
I generally, to be totally honest with you, I generally go to farmers markets because I want my dollar inertia to be more kind of curated.
That's even better, yeah.
And so that's a little bit different. And also, I think when I go to a farmer's market and I buy from this vendor, and that vendor over there is an entirely different thing that person might be selling. I know that there's a brisket vendor in the farmer's market that I go to, but I'm not giving it to like, I try not to go to places like Whole Foods or, I don't know. I'll go to Trader Joe's and buy wine sometimes, things like that. But that's something, minuscule.
Philly I try to keep does my not money have enough farmers markets. I tell you,
yeah, I'm blessed in California, and not everyone has that. So
I was able to do that a lot more.
But the co-op doesn't really matter because I can be shopping at a Circle K, but if I'm buying vegan options, then I'm always putting my money where my mouth is and making sure that I'm working toward a better future and a more ethical world.
Right. So when I did your show, people were bugged that I'm a carnivore, because I have a vegan brand. Or that's not, I don't think they were even that bugged about that contradiction. I think just they were bugged that I was a carnivore.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's it, of course. But
you're the enemy.
I should have predicted that.
I mean, why would? Of course. I mean, they'd be bugged if you were a child molester too. It's about the same. It's about the moral equivalent.
Now, so the thing is though that where was I getting with that? Oh, now where do people draw the line? Because uh, I didn't create the company. So the founder is vegan. So you're carrying on
Mm.
that tradition, and that makes sense to me. But but to but to like so something came up. The Beyond Meat. I thought I would like right after that interview. I was thinking about Beyond Meat. I was thinking, how many of the people on the board of directors
Mm.
are vegans at Beyond Meat? Probably not the majority.
I don't
I
know,
I but then the thing is, like, the day after in the news, the executive, the
oh,
CFO.
bit off the guy's nose in a fight.
Yeah. Oh,
Don't
that's
fuck with
ironic.
vegans, man.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Is he
don't mess with
vegan?
it. Bite your nose off. I don't know. I honestly don't keep up with Beyond. I think when Beyond came out, I bought I bought a couple pieces of stock in it because I wanted to support a vegan business, but I didn't like. I don't really follow them or think that much about. I don't eat much Beyond. It's not something that I think about very often. Beyond is at the end of the day for people. It's not really for vegans. It's for people who are either transitioning to veganism or want to eat more
Dieting.
healthy, and yeah, they
Yeah.
want to have a diet, more plant based diet. I mean, or people like me. Sometimes I'm at a Pete's Coffee or something like that, and they've got the Beyond sandwich, and I'll get that option. I mean, so it's not entirely. It's not like I don't know what Beyond tastes like,
It's a
but
mass product solution. It's not an individual, like,
it's just
it's
another
not the ultimate
product.
solution. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean,
I mean,
cool.
to a
If it's
lot of
between that and slitting the throat of an animal, I'd say, try
yeah.
Beyond.
Yeah, I don't mess with that brand because I just don't like the sourcing that goes into the product. I can have if I'm gonna I like
But
I
Beyond's organic. It's impossible that everyone has the problem with. Beyond's
uh
the one that's like the organically
oh,
sourced
really? Is
and
it
all that. Yeah.
impossible? I
Impossible is the
see.
one that everyone's like, oh, it's Bill Gates and I don't know. But
Mm. Yeah,
I don't know.
okay. Impossible's the one. I didn't know. See,
Yeah,
I
Impossible's the one
prefer
that's
a
got
garden
the.
burger personally. I like a garden burger.
I haven't had one of those in years. I remember when I was a kid, it was when I went vegan, it was Boca burgers
Yeah,
were
Boca
the
burgers.
rage. Yeah,
They're
those are
still
really
big,
good.
but I still think
Yeah.
the garden burger is the better one.
And I like smaller company. I like Field Roast a lot. I think they're out of Portland actually, Field Roast, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
so.
field roast. I used to love their
The good
sandwiches. I
stuff.
would go into the New Seasons. They would have a little
Mm.
deli, and
Hmm.
has New Seasons made it down to California yet?
No,
You're
I went there in Portland back in a while back. I used to go to that. There used to be a beer and food festival, a vegan food and beer festival
every other
in
weekend.
Portland. There was a major one called Eat Drink Vegan that I went
Oh
to, and
yeah, I think I've seen that.
yeah, it's good fun. Portland's a great town. A lot of vegans there, a lot of vegan donuts and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. When I moved there, I started immediately finding that there were some really delicious vegan muffins
Mm-hmm.
and cookies, and like they kind of like it was expected in that city by the early 2000s that you needed to have a vegan option in your coffee
Yeah.
shop or in grocery store. You needed it. It was not a thing in LA yet so much.
No. Yeah, I mean, up until recently, it wasn't that easy to get, vegan options at places like Starbucks. But, I drink my coffee black. I don't really think about that either. It's one of those things where, like, the products and everything. This is where veganism gets a little kind of influencery, where there's all these people like pushing products, and I think that's great. If I can get a product deal, I totally would. I would love to do like a product endorsement on my show every day. I mean, I do a vegan show 6 days a week. I do 7 shows a week, 6 days a week, and I'd love to have a sponsor, but I don't like um, think about those products very often because I don't know. There's some that I go to, but I usually go for more like whole food type stuff. Not Whole Foods, but like whole food type diet stuff. Don't really think about vitamins and nutrition except on Mondays when nutritionist Nelsie comes on my show. So I'm not really, I don't know. But to answer your question, where do they draw the line? I think that, veganism is the moral baseline. At the end of the day, it's kind of like, okay, well, don't be a racist, don't be a speciesist. It's the same kind of.
Well, I mean, in terms of the product that you support, like because say denim is something that vegans wear. You buy some Levi's. Levi's is not a vegan brand, so
No.
you're still buying that. Now, if somebody cuts off, and I don't mind. I'm not like all like upset about it. But if somebody cuts off a vegan brand that isn't because it's not owned by a vegan, then that seems silly because to me, even regardless of what side of that I'm on, it seems silly because you're still going to go buy Levi's. You're still going to go to the same grocery store. You're still going to go to these places where you are supporting non-vegans. And and then that kind of extends to my philosophy in life. Ultimately, you can't expect everyone to be like you. So you gotta be willing to support and be part of communities that involve people that aren't just like you anyway.
Well, what you're describing is the challenge of a vegan living in a non-vegan world, and you're absolutely right that there are those types of kind of contradictory situations we find ourselves in, right? I mean, like the Levi's one's a really good example where I think most vegans probably have a pair of Levi's in their closets, but nobody even knows the name of the CEO or whether or not that CEO is vegan or anything about that CEO. So you're absolutely right. It's difficult. It's a difficult thing sometimes but that's just becoming an informed consumer, right? It's hard to be an informed consumer, to do what you said so eloquently early on, that was, ensuring the inertia of your dollar goes as far in your own community as possible. If the community is vegan, is vegan, then you'd want that to be reflected there, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely you can set that up more and more if you talk to every farmer that you buy from and talk to them and go, are you vegetarian, you vegan, and you learn more and more, then you can actually really streamline that every dollar. But it's always going to go somewhere that you don't support, and that's just the reality.
Eventually, sure. I mean,
taxes and things.
But even if you're like, but this is where we get into like why veganism is the moral baseline. You can be a good little vegan and shop at Walmart. There's nothing wrong with that. You can buy vegan options at Walmart, and the more people who buy vegan options at Walmart or just don't. In fact, it's not really about buying vegan options. Let me back up. It's about not buying sentient life. It's about not buying dead animals. If you could refrain from buying dead animals, then fewer dead animals will be in demand and they will stop killing them. It's really quite simple. That's why veganism is the moral baseline, and not necessarily like to extrapolate these other things like, well, what if the CEO is, yeah, you're right, we can get nitty gritty about that shit, but like at the end of the day, that's insider baseball, you know?
And there's tipping points before tipping points. And so let's say you want the vegan tipping point. You want enough of a majority to make it economically unsustainable to have any kind of meat or animal
killing
product. So now, how
to make
long?
it economic sustainable, yeah, but like what I really want to do is appeal to your conscience and allow you to acknowledge that we all have the same rights.
Okay. All right. So then there's got to be a stage before that final tipping point. And like one is like people are eating meat in every meal, which is to me disgusting. It's it's excessive for your body. It's excessive for the industry. It's excessive for all of it. And the people who eat meat every meal are usually unconscious about what they're eating too. So they're eating the Dunkin' Donuts sausage. They're eating the McDonald's burgers.
Yeah, they don't even know. They don't even recognize it.
Or
they don't even know that.
There is the classic vegan meat, which is just Taco Bell.
Although you hear that they're doing steak there now, vegan steak there. I mean, fast food.
The joke is because they were kind of early in like mixing it with soy and stuff to like thin it out, right?
Yeah. They always had TVP in there, like textured vegetable protein. That would, yeah. But that's always, soy is something that they put in everything they cut everything with soy. It's like it's one of the most versatile crops in the world. And by the way, most of the cows are fed so much soy that pigs and cows are fed so much soy. You're getting soy. There's no way around it. It's a high protein vegetable, but you're right. There's so many people being inundated and indoctrinated by between 5 and 10 in America ads per day for fast food, and fast food is something that's killing us. And when you say like they're unconscious, they're so unconscious they don't even realize that, like the disconnect between what they're eating and that even it is an animal. They're not allowed to see most of the things. You can't even see where your food comes from. And if you do, it comes with a trigger warning. If you need a trigger warning to show where your food comes from,
right,
that's not food.
And I think that is that mass production for people who are eating meat in every meal. That's where the worst behaviors come. in the industry, and I would like to see that tipping point myself, and it would help your tipping point
Well, that's a
because
welfarist point of view, yeah, but welfare plus welfare doesn't equal rights. And so some of us still have to be holding the flag and saying, "Wait, this is about animal rights." Yeah, there's plenty of people doing that already, man. Every politician says the same shit. Like, "Oh, I like this fast food and pharmaceutical commercials." Guess what? Big pharma. Everyone's always complains about big pharma. Every president talks about big pharma. Where's big pharma making all their money? In the animal agricultural industry, where they're pumping them with hormones and antibiotics and all the other stuff. That's
yeah,
big pharma. The big pharma makes a lot more money off 100 billion animals a year
yeah.
than because 80 billion are killed every year. So you can roughly estimate that 100 billion animals are alive
That's a
just to be eaten.
that's a really interesting point. I haven't thought about where I would like, these people, uh, and I'm not one of these people, but these anti-Pfizer type folks
Yeah,
are, maybe going and buying that Pfizer pumped beef.
they totally are. Of course they are, because
I
they don't see
didn't
the
even think of
connection.
that.
A
That's
hundred
horrifying.
billion, 100 billion animals a year are being raised for livestock so that we can kill them. You
Yeah.
think that we're the 7 billion people? Pfizer's making money off of us? Think about the 100 billion animals that are being raised. They are much better customers. They don't stick around long, and they don't complain.
Yeah.
They could do whatever the hell they want with them. And the testing, what testing? They don't test them.
Yeah. No, they are who you test on. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's far better for them. Well, the real trick is then once all the animals are eaten, then you get sick from that, and then the pharma sells you the cure to that too. So,
Deb says to watch Dominion. What is that?
ooh, that's a good one to watch, man. I normally don't even have conversations with people who haven't seen it.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
It's one of those movies that show you kind of animal agriculture.
Yeah.
So where 99% of our food comes from. 99% not food, 99% of our of animal products comes from these types of farms. And it doesn't even matter, like, whoa, what about this great farm? And it doesn't matter. It always goes to the same slaughterhouse. I've been on some of the best farms in the world, and you know what? They all lament that their cows still have to go to the same slaughterhouse because that's how regulations work.
Right. And there's your libertarian friends you can have that don't
Mhm.
want those regulations. And they believe that would change the situation to where I haven't seen the slaughterhouse. I'm sure it's awful. But
Yeah, they're bad.
yeah,
Yeah, that's like I said, it comes with a trigger warning. Again, this is where I get off, right? Because I go, okay, well, animals aren't products to begin with. So this whole idea like of plant-based, I'm gonna do without animal products. My whole thesis is that animals are not products. Stop treating them like products. And the libertarian should be able to, because they're so supposedly keen on respecting each other's rights and at least acknowledging each other's rights, then they should at least see that the animal wants to be free, and to abridge that freedom is, yeah, anathema.
I want to see a more natural world, a more I don't know.
Go
It's
vegan.
yeah. Well, listen, I'm not going to change it even if I do.
You're all you. Yes, you do. This is the greatest impact you
I'll
can make.
I'll tell you what the vegan product, the held belt, does, because I was looking at from an industry like fashion industry standpoint. I was studying. I made a little video. I compared different leather belts. There's like a top grain leather belt, a genuine leather belt, and then
Yeah.
just utterly fake leather belts. They're not advertised as vegan because they still are trying to trick the dumbest customer, like the most unsophisticated customer. And
Yeah, keep you
so
dumb.
the top grain
Take your money.
strap, what I learned was disturbing because it didn't say it outright, but I can discern for myself what's going on. The top grain strap is the top most durable layer of the hide stripped off. And that leaves a smoother, more attractive surface. And one reason they need to do that is because cows that are raised in awful conditions have bites and scars and sores, and their top layer is just garbage. So it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good. It's going to be terribly blemished. So
Yes.
then what they can do with that top layer is then crunch it up into powdery, like particle board like thing, and then turn that into genuine leather. Genuine leather is the dust off the floor and mixed with other materials.
That's what they
It's
make a lot of
crap.
furniture out of. A
So
lot of yeah.
so just like fast food, this is the junk product. It's the and it degrades quickly. It doesn't. So you're going out and buying more leather belts. You're buying more leather than if you would like that hide leather belt that you
But that's
said
just
you have.
business, right? Well,
Well, it's not just business,
but
it's
you don't think it's
consumption of
weird, Sean,
animals.
that you don't think it's weird that we're still skinning animals, that there's that a cow, that a man and a cow really don't stand a fight. Like, man does not stand a fight against a cow. A cow, you can't bite it and eat it. You can't, it's really hard to kill one. That's, I mean, even with guns, they mess it up all the time. And we have to capture them and slit their throats and then hoist them up and rip their skin off. Like, that doesn't seem weird to you? And then we're gonna make,
Well,
so that we
still,
can keep our
regardless
pants
of
up.
whether it seems weird to me, the point is that if you, that I am introducing a product, and this isn't about advertising it, but I'm just saying the more people that have solutions, the more it erodes away at the market. And so
Yeah.
here there are not very many good quality straps out there that can say they're vegan. And I'm positive that these perform better than top grain and genuine leather. So it's like it's very cool thing, but it's like hard to get that stuff out there. You know, you got to trick people not to go to Macy's. You got to trick people not to go to these things, and
See, I don't think so. I don't think it's
they,
easy to trick. The truth is, how often do you see people online and you call bullshit? No one really fools anybody anymore, do they? Like, it's
yeah, they
like,
do. Oh yes, a
well,
lot of fooling going around.
you think like all these assholes that take pictures of like their Lambo and all this, and it's all fake. It's not real. And there's so many people, especially with social media, taking pictures of themselves on holiday, going, "Oh yeah, I'm having the time of my life," and it's all fake.
Yeah.
Um, I think people smell bullshit pretty easily. It's authenticity that they're attracted to. And
But they buy the shitty food, the shitty belts, the shitty
well,
clothes.
yeah, but that's because they've always done the same, because and their parents are the same, and that's, but
You have to somehow grab those people's attention. That's the hard part, and send them on a different path, and maybe they'll end up vegan. Definitely, if you send them on a different path, they'll do something to erode at this horrifying industry. But like, your tipping point isn't going to come because everybody suddenly becomes vegan overnight. That's the tough part. I think the only way is, you know, that there's a
well, I don't think you're going to get there saying that leather is an inferior product either, because I think that when you the first statement is,
yeah, I mean,
leather
that
is
my
not a
strategy.
Product. It's a skin. It's a skin of an animal.
I find it's going to be
weird.
easier to convince somebody that this leather belt is junk rather than
how you have to explain to them
stop using leather.
the way
much
epidermis works. Like, you have to explain to them how skin has several layers, and they have to shave off the first layer with basically a planing saw, and then they get to the thinner part where and then what suede is. Most of these idiots don't know what suede is. They don't know because they never questioned anything.
Right.
So the question is, why are you wearing skin, you weirdo? Why are you skinning animals, weirdo? It's disgusting. By the way, there's this perfectly good leather strap, this vegan leather strap that we made out of conveyor belts, and this is awesome. Stop doing weird shit, you creep. Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer made leather chairs out of people, and we said it was weird. Meanwhile, people are wearing leather jackets. Like, stop wearing skin.
I want to just, Canadian Vegan says, you'd sell so many more belts if you understood and embraced the vegan philosophy. I think
Probably.
I think I understand, just because I understand it pretty well. But first of all, it was run by a vegan for 12 years. He had his medical issues and personal hangups that stood in the way of success. But it was run by a vegan for 12 years, very heavy on the vegan message. And he said to me, you don't have to continue being vegan with this brand. He gave me permission not to. He gave me permission to run his brand as a carnivore and not even I didn't even have to maintain the vegan thing, but I did it out of honor for it. So but we both agreed if you scale back the messaging about vegan, you will reach more people, which is ultimately better for the cause.
Not
We agreed.
necessarily. Like you're how are you going to reach more people by abandoning your niche?
You don't abandon your niche.
The riches are in the niches.
You maintain the niche, but it's not important that the person who assembles the belt, the people who manufacture the strapping, you can't split hairs like that. You gotta.
No,
that's how I look.
But that's what you are doing. You're splitting hairs. I mean,
I'm not splitting hairs.
With all respect. I mean, yes, you are. You say you're. For example, the opposite of a vegan is not a carnivore. The opposite of a vegan is a speciesist. And you're saying you're a carnivore, but you don't have any of the traits of a carnivore. You just happen to eat a lot. You eat meat, but you don't have any of the any kind of. You don't have knives that grow out of your fingers like a cat. You don't have a face full of razor sharp teeth. You don't have any of the characteristics of a carnivore. You are more like a gorilla, maybe a chimpanzee. Most of them eat 99% plant-based, and yet you call yourself a carnivore. But really, what you are a programmed speciesist, because you're not questioning the indoctrination of your ancestors, basically. And you said it yourself. It's a conditioning. You've been conditioned to be a speciesist, just like when you're a child and you could grow up with racist parents and you become a racist. You're not born one.
So you know what's interesting about the story of Buddha and how he died?
Buddha?
Yeah.
Let's have it. Let's have the Buddha story. Okay.
Okay. So I mean, the Buddha story is very long, but at the end of his story, there's two ways that it has gone, depending on the church, the temple that you're getting the story from. One is that he ate a piece of pork and he died, and the other is that he ate a mushroom and he died. Both were poisoned, poisonous food.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of poisoning going on in
my theory on that is that the temples that were hell bent on promoting a vegetarian diet, which is almost all of them, but some of them were willing to change the story, didn't want to depict Buddha as willing to eat meat, so they changed it to mushroom. The other side makes me think, well, maybe they changed it to pork to make it look like he died from eating meat. But in any case, I think that churches have a way of changing stories. But the point I'm making is one thing we do know is that he told his monks to go out with a begging bowl and eat whatever is provided to them, not vegetarian. Just eat what's provided to you. And what has been extrapolated over the years and embedded and conditioned into the church is the idea that Buddhists are vegetarians, when in fact Buddha was not, and neither were his monks, and neither.
Well, I don't know. Buddha may or may not have actually existed. I mean, at least these old stories. But what I do know, I mean, I lived in Japan and I've been to Taiwan and spent a lot of time in Asia, and I've met a lot of Buddhists who believe that vegetarianism is the way, and I've met a lot of them that say no, and I met even more. I met people who lived in monasteries and said that the monks would shove hay in the cows' noses, and they would die. They'd be suffocated, and the next day they'd be look what good fortune we have. Now we have this found meat. So there's all sorts of little. Religion is like that, though, isn't it? Religion is just another way of indoctrinating people. I mean, one of the great monsters of the 20th century, Mao Zedong, said that religion is poison, and I think he was right on that account. But
he's himself a tyrant and a poison.
Yeah, I mean, Mao Zedong wasn't a good guy, but a lot of
genius.
A lot of bad guys have a couple good ideas and take them too far. But he not to get caught up with Mao Zedong, but in the meantime,
at least you're not a communist.
Buddhism. Well, I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel it depends on which side of the bed I wake up on.
I could see you being socialist leaning for sure.
Well, most of us we live in a socialist society. It's kind of hard not to be. I'm more of a try to do my best, but I think government is a manifestation of our compassion toward one another, and when it's done right, it really is about trying to solve problems together. And I think that's usually
that I agree with I agree with that, and I think that that's a point of contention with me and my libertarian friends because
Yeah.
and to be honest, like we kind of touched on this idea that a lot of libertarians and a lot of socialists too are working for massive corporations or for the government that they vehemently don't like,
Yeah.
and so they feel so out of, and then they have a spouse and family that makes them feel bad or whatever. Like, so I feel like a lot of people are so out of control of their own lives that they want to
Yes.
control other people. They want to dismantle the whole government, maybe their solution. Or the other solution is much more centrally organized socialist, communist government. And a lot of people are so, I just think it comes with how they're feeling in their own life more than it is like if the system's better
Well, yeah,
or
I mean
not.
that's how neuroses develop, is because you're out of control of your own destiny, right? That's why animals have all of this neurotic behavior inside of farms, or even pets. They have all these neuroses because they rely 100% on human beings and they have zero control. Cages are unnatural. Cages are the most unnatural thing on planet Earth. We shouldn't have made them. No animal should ever be in a cage.
And we
No
make them for
humans.
ourselves. We go to work and put ourselves
That's
in them. And
exactly right. That's
it's
my
a
point.
very unnatural world. And this, yeah.
But because you understand that, that means that you understand how an animal feels. And why would you cause that to somebody else? Like, you know how that feels. You know that you don't want to be in a cage, and neither does the animal, because we're both animals. No animal wants to be in a cage. At least the one that you have some agency. You have some escape. You might be able, you got a chance. The animal's got no chance. We just stick them in a cage and poke and prod and kill.
Yep. I know.
But anyway, so like, I mean, as far as government's concerned, at the end of the day, decentralized, centralized, local, federal, at the end of the day, it's supposed to be about cooperating with one another, and that is our strength as human beings, with this complex language and all the shit we can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're going to get around, even though I view myself on the anarchist spectrum, as a decentralist. All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use my life as a way of decentralized. So I have a small business. I'm trying to grow that small business. And as I grow it, and actually I'm trying to grow two right now at the same time. It's kind of silly. But
It's hard to do.
yeah, it's silly. But actually one's a media brand, and a fashion brand is really dependent on media. So there's a lot that ties in together. And here I am doing media. So it's kind of, there's a way to make it fluid. And that's,
Well, now you better be a media brand. I mean, everything is a media.
yeah. You got to have a little media brand on the side. So, what was I saying? Yeah. Okay. I view myself somewhere on that anarchist spectrum because I don't want to be ruled, just like you don't want to rule over an animal. I don't want to be ruled. And I could
Well, I
see,
have no right to rule over an animal,
right, or any other person. And that's
right. I have no right to do so.
right. So now, on the other hand, I don't see a way of getting around. To me, anarchism is more about refusing to be ruled than it is about dismantling all forms of structure and organization. And I think we're never going to get around, like you're saying, government is a manifestation of caring. Although, on the other hand, I could see it coming from the early agriculture time, where the first time ever that anybody stakes claim to land, has surpluses, then leverages those surpluses to gain power, and then power turns into a nation, and the nations turn into militaries.
Well, back then you had to have some way of making sure the money was all going the right. We can all agree on what a pound of grain costs and stuff like that. But now with decentralized finance, I mean, we might actually see some pretty interesting things happen. I think we already are. I think DeFi is going to become more anarchistic.
We can't. Okay, we are coming up to the hour that I always cut off at, and we haven't talked about crypto because crypto is a big interest to me. I accept Bitcoin and various cryptos on heldgear.com, and
on
I'm
what?
more
Say
of a
that
Bitcoin.
Again. On which con?
Heldgear.com.
Oh, heldgear.com. Yeah.
And that's through Coinbase. It's a pretty great solution for a small website like mine, and that's awesome. And I'm stoked to do that. And I want that to be part of the future of this company and my life. Crypto, Bitcoin. I'm more into Bitcoin. What are you into? What's your crypto angle?
ETH. I'm heavy into Ethereum. I know it's taking a hit right now, but right now
everything is though. I grabbed a little ETH before 2.0. I'm like, this seems like
Bit got down to like 17 or something. Yeah, I mean it's a little rough to see what's happening, but with the merge, I think the merge for Ethereum, it should be talked more about in terms of why the merge and what's happened with proof of stake taking with this upgrade with proof of stake. We have eliminated 99% of greenhouse gases, carbon footprint, and all of the rest when it comes to this blockchain. That's a big deal that no one's really talking about. Everyone's talking about inflation and the fact that Ethereum is down to under 2K. I think this morning was like at 13 something, at 1300 something, and I've taken a hit, and I'm hoping that it bounces back because I think the merge is one of the most important things to happen in crypto since the beginning, since Bitcoin came out. And plus, I love the fact that
you can. That's why I'm surprised that it went down, but I guess the hype was factored in advance.
Well, also, I mean, it doesn't help that the current, like, most people are blaming what's happening in inflationary circles, like with the Fed and what are they doing and interest rates and all the shit that's going on in America for supply chains. And so, I mean, every time the Fed releases something, people pull their money out of fucking Ethereum. It hurts. We had some whales pulling out. This is what I don't get. Like, all these people that are these anarchists, these libertarians, these people who are all about DeFi, pulling their money out of Ethereum and Bitcoin and dropping into USDT and USDC. I say shame on them, because the whole point was
who's doing that.
Man, a lot of people were dropping out. Like, I was reading about, I don't know these names, but they were looking at these whales pulling out hundreds of millions of dollars out of these things, out of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and putting them in USDT and USDC, which is like, the stable coins, whatever.
It's just a very shrewd, irreverent thing to do. That's how I look at that.
Well, it goes against everything that this is supposed to be about. And now it's like, okay, well, you're manipulating.
A lot of people are not doing crypto for that purpose. And
right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I miss the days of hodl.
Oh, sure.
Where are those
days? A lot of hodlers.
Yeah, I'm a hodler, and
I was trying to strategize. Like, I was trying to time my sales at the peak and then buy it back. That was my goal, so I could double my holding.
Yeah, I thought 1400 would be the lowest.
Did.
I thought 1400 would be the lowest I ever saw Ethereum go, and now it went down to 12. Now it's back up to like 1390 or whatever it was today. So, but
why do you think? Okay, sorry.
But Ethereum's going to be the future. I think the great flippening between Bitcoin and Ethereum will happen someday, because when all of these companies, NFT is the future, and when all of these companies, these blue chip organizations, when Delta wants to make their ticketing system NFTs, where are they going to go? Do you think they're going to do it on Tezos or Solana or any of these other subchains? No, they're going to do it on Ethereum. That's where it's going to happen.
Do you think Bitcoin will just kind of be a holding? Like, you think it'll go away, or it'll just be like gold? It's just something you hold.
Like gold. Yeah, I think it'll be like gold for a long, long time. I don't think it's going to go away. But I mean,
who can
ape in on ETH right now? What's exciting about ETH? What can you do with it? You can't even buy anything with ETH. I'm sorry, you can't buy anything with Bitcoin. I buy shit with ETH all the time. Sorry, you can't buy anything with Bitcoin.
I want to, Deb Thompson, again, you got the few people here are very, very active. It's great. You have good fans. I am the first person to admit ignorance on this topic, but cryptocurrency is kind of scared of me. No paper trail or insured funds, kind of spooky. Now that's a can of worms to get into, but that's like custodial wallets versus non-custodial wallets, and that's also myth versus truth. Like, there's a complete and perfect paper trail with every Bitcoin transaction. I believe it's the same case with ETH
that we can all see. That's what's also nice about it.
Yeah,
like you can get your money stolen, like you can always, but you can always see who stole it. You can really kind of find out who has your NFT, who has this. I mean, sometimes it's anonymous. You can't find out who that is, but there's ways that you can find out things. And just like it is, I think it's interesting, right? This no insurance, I guess, but that'll be solved pretty soon. I mean, UK and the United States are both putting regulatory bodies in place as securities. They're treating it like securities, just like stock. So imagine like stock. I think it's kind of easy to think of
Ted
that way.
says he's thinking about investing in silver. I would do it. I would grab some silver. I'm personally
Silver.
I like holding silver and gold in physical form, and I like having cryptocurrencies and cash on hand. And then I like having the amount of cash I need in the bank for a couple months of bills. And then I like having some investments on top of that. And I don't have a lot. It's a tiny chunks spread
Yeah.
across, but that's how you build. You do what you can when you can.
Yeah, and it's more easy. It's easier than ever, right? I don't like the silver thing because you have to trust someone else to have it for you. I don't like that.
Speaking of silver, why do you think Litecoin is not doing well? I mean, it's
Oof.
actually it's why it's yeah.
I
Why do you think it's
Litecoin's one of those ones I was so excited about because no one ever adopted it as like now it's a way to Litecoin has become a way to transfer money and it's the most it's 100% reliable. It's never failed. The network has never gone down. Nothing has ever gone wrong with Litecoin. But all it is like Western Union. So if you want to send money to someone cheaply and know it's going to get there, use Litecoin. But
yeah
like ETH now that like once ETH has this gas situation because that's the thing, right? It's the gas, right? I have to pay $2 to send you 50. Doesn't make much sense. I gotta send you
yeah? It's
50.
a problem.
Yeah,
So
but
we'll
that's going
see.
away soon. I mean, it's got to cost. The network's got to cost something. The miners deserve something too, right? But post merge, they say that the gas prices will be better someday soon. I hope they're right. I don't know.
All right, it's the hour. We hit the hour, and I'm ready to wind it down. You
Lion's head is hitting you.
is gonna have one more, I think, before the night is closed, and go play some drums before it gets too late.
Oh yeah, I forgot you play drums. Yeah, I was watching some of your YouTube videos of you playing some drums. I used to play. I was a frontman. I played guitar in a band
Okay,
and sang.
I could see that.
Yeah, born frontman, man. I was like, but I was also write. I want to write. I want to write songs. So I would write I'd write all the songs. And then I had this amazing drummer, and we would so it was almost a duo. And we were 5-piece at some point, but we were our strongest was as a power trio. Me, a bassist, and a drummer. It was amazing. Good times. Were you in a
Yeah.
band?
I am not in a band. I'm trying to meet more musicians right now. I go to these open jams on Wednesday nights.
Oh, that's
Shout
cool.
out Grape Room.
What kind
Philly.
of music do you guys play?
Well, it's just like whoever shows up. So it kind of depends on whatever the musicians are there, but it tends to always land somewhere in a funky rock and roll kind of flavor, something that you can jam on,
Kind of
vamp
jam
on,
bandy, yeah.
but not too jam bandy. That's what's fun. Is like I'm a weird drummer, so I can get weird, and if I have a good bassist, then we can get really weird.
Yeah, but it's important to know that it's not jazz and it's not bluegrass because those
I make it
you can.
jazzy, but yeah, it's not jazz.
Okay.
Like
All right.
my style makes it jazzier when I'm on the kit usually.
Do you have
But
any
it's not
like
jazz.
who's like your drummer inspiration? Do you have like a drummer that you admire?
My Mount Rushmore of drums. I
Yeah, your
think
Mount
Elvin
Rushmore.
Jones. Elvin Jones is on there.
Okay.
Danny Carey of Tool is on there. You got who else? I mean, I
You
love
say
a lot of
John Henry
drummers.
Bonham. Everyone always says John Henry Bonham.
John Bonham. I
Yeah.
I practice a lot of songs. I put the headphones on and practice songs. So I've been learning from a lot of different drummers.
The guy
There's a
from
lot of
Rush.
amazing
Everyone likes
drummers.
the drummers. Always like the drummer on Rush.
Neil Peart,
Yeah.
but Danny Carey is the advancement over Neil Peart in terms of progressive rock bands. So I gotta say, Danny Carey.
What about like Ringo, man? Ringo, dude. Little cocktail kit. You did a lot with that little kit.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You did a lot
Yeah.
with that little kit.
He
That's
inspired a
what
lot of Sons of Guns.
I always like that, like the guys that have that little cocktail kit, and there's like basically just a little tiny jazz kit, and they're able to just do hit after hit after hit after hit, and do really creative, amazing things with almost nothing.
Well,
The prog rock's
sometimes,
always like the 50 pieces.
yeah, Danny Carey is the most absurd of them all
Mm.
in terms of those complicated kits.
Yeah.
But the way he does it, like normally I'm not that big a fan of those kinds of players. I like the Elvin Jones kit. That's pretty much what I play on. It's the straightforward 3 toms and a snare. And I don't do double kick pedals. I don't do any of that. It's very simple.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I want to play a band. I'm just not like in my 20s anymore, like just trying to be in any band I can get in.
I couldn't tour these days. I mean, we toured, we did like a 3-state tour, and we had a little bit of radio play. Like we were one of those bands that like almost, man, we
Almost. What were you called? What were you
the
called?
Murder Brothers. Funny enough,
Hmm.
the Murder Brothers, like a post-punk type of sound, and we're really influenced by the Clash and but the Clash and David Bowie, but also like Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson, like some of those cowboys. There's like, I like that stuff too. That kind of outlaw country,
Yeah.
that tough guy country shit. I like that stuff too. So most of my chord playing and everything is like those big, like I wasn't. There were a couple songs with some power chords, but I like those big cowboy chords, just like where your fingers are throbbing at the end of it. I used to love that shit, but I couldn't tour these days because
Yeah.
you gotta, unless you had roadies, unless you're really successful, like moving all that equipment and doing all that, like, nah, forget it. Not
Yeah,
these
live
days.
streaming is the easiest way entry into show business. It's very like,
clip. Well, I turn on all my lights.
yeah.
I
All
have,
I
I
have
have,
right now is one. I need a little more. I'm a little too shady on the other side here, this side.
yeah, you
But
need 3 lights, man. Okay,
but I
I have
only
a,
have one ring light right now, and it's working out okay.
I have a ring light, a starlight. One's white, one's yellow, and one is white that bounces off the wall and hits me for diffused.
Ah, that's
Yeah, but
good.
that's like an LED panel light, and those are because you could do a lot for like 150 bucks. I think is what everything. This is the most expensive thing,
Yeah.
and like this, I have this too.
Yeah, I was okay. Okay, I'm gonna just get real nerdy for just a sec before we go.
Yeah,
Uh, do you hear your own voice? Can
yeah, I
you
can hear my own
monitor?
voice.
Okay,
Yeah.
then actually stay on. Don't disappear. I want to ask about that because that's my trouble. I have to use an analog mixer because I don't. Yeah,
Oh,
so I
yeah.
wanted to ask how you do that. But let's end the show. This is
Okay.
an hour-long show. I'm proud of treating it like live radio, which is my roots. Um,
Okay.
all right. So thank you. I think that's fun. You're an ETH guy. I'm a Bitcoin guy. You're a vegan. I'm a carny, and
Carnies.
you're
I
a
drink carny
liberal. I'm a
tears every morning.
libertarian. I guess I don't know what I am. But we had a good time. A good time. Did we not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And when you go vegan, maybe we can be real friends.
Good. You'll have a beer with me even if I'm not.
Not if you're eating.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Beer is not eating. But
Yeah.
someday I'll be through LA and I'll check in on you.
Deal.
All right. Thanks for being here a lot, Sky. Everyone go
Yeah.
check out. Tell us where to go. I
Oh
usually
yeah,
do the
please go on
beginning. My bad.
veganofcourse.net. And also we talked a little bit about crypto. I do want to bring up just I have an NFT project. It does go to animal rights organizations. It's called Crypto Pumpkins. You get you get 10 for pretty cheap, and all the money goes to animal rights organizations. And if you're a holder, you get to vote on where that money goes to, so we keep it grassroots. And that is at veganofcourse.net/NFT. And you can see all of the cool crypto pumpkins that are revealed. They turn magically into jack-o'-lanterns on October 1st. So right
Oh, that's
now
fun.
they just look like pumpkins, but on October 1st they turn into jack-o'-lanterns. It's for the holidays, happy vegan Halloween.
That's fun. I like that.
That's pretty
All
cool.
right. Thanks, Sky. Everybody, that I think you have more followers here than I have. But everybody,
We've worked hard in our community. We've got a really good community for
Yeah.
I think it's great.
my people trickle in over weeks. That's how they work.
Shuffle their feet.
Yeah. All right. Good to have you. I'll talk to you in a second. All right. All right. That was another Not a Podcast show. I think that was the 25th episode, which I started doing a year ago. Just after my last trip to Florida. I remember thinking I got to do a live stream, and I came back from Florida and I did it. And that's Ted. Oh, Ted. Oh, yes, Ted. Sorry. Ted said goodnight from Y. I forgot who you were, Ted. Good to see you, or chat with you. And thanks, Deb and Sky's friends for being here. Canadian vegan. I appreciate you being friendly to me here, and I hope maybe you get yourself a vegan belt from Hell someday. In any case, Everybody who tuned in is here right now. Thank you. Love you. Have a good one.